Ashley, can you take us through precisely what Trump is saying tonight?
Adrian, Donald Trump declaring on social media that he's officially called off trade talks with Canada. It's over an advertisement from Ontario's government that's been playing on American networks. Ontario's premier recently launched the $75 million anti-tariff campaign using a video with the voice of former President Ronald Reagan. It's from his famous address in 1987. And in the video, Reagan talks with Canada. It's over an advertisement from Ontario's government that's been playing on American networks. Ontario's premier recently launched the $75 million
$75 million. While I think it's funny that he did it, that Ford did it, but at the same time, $75 million. I just question how there are people from Ontario that are struggling right now, and it already was questionable, and honestly, I don't give a fuck because about Trump and what his response to it. Like, I don't really care about the standing of the agreements and whatever, because his hair could flip the wrong way from the wind and he would decide to stop trade talks with us. Like, at this point, it's like dealing with a fucking overgrown tyrannical toddler. Like, it's just you can't make deals with him, and the only way to make deals with him is to pledge like hundreds of billions of dollars that you don't have. Like,
anti-tariff campaign using a video with the voice of former President Ronald Reagan. It's from his famous address in 1987. And in the video, Reagan is heard saying high tariffs lead to retaliation by foreign countries and trigger fierce trade wars. Trump wrote on...
How is that not true? Almost all of us have retaliated in some way, even if it's not through counter tariffs. We have all shifted our national trade agreements away from the United States. All of us around the world. There's a few countries that are sucking the dick still, sucking the teat of the United States. But at the same time, like, go look at the price for gold and how it's skyrocketed in the past 2 years. Even the past year. Like, it is usually because the American dollar is usually the global trade currency that all of us just accepted as convenient. Usually people in times of economic unsurety and crisis, people would be buying up reserves of the US dollar. Now they're just flooding to gold. So how has this not gone exactly like Reagan said? It's a hard day for me to say Reagan was right on an issue. I hate him so much. He is part of the reason that you guys are even in this situation in America to begin with. So...
Truth Social that the Ronald Reagan Foundation said it's fraudulently used. The foundation posted online that the ad misrepresents the president's radio address, and Ontario didn't have permission to use it. Trump also went on to write
an address to the nation from the presidential office is, well, it wasn't in the office, but like from the office of the president. I'm pretty sure that's public record. Like... But whatever.
How important he says tariffs are to his country's economy, and said, quote, based on their egregious behavior, all trade negotiations with Canada are hereby terminated.
Let's bring in Katie Simpson in Washington. Katie, a huge blow to the momentum around trade talks, but it is true that Canada has seen this before.
Yeah, Canada has navigated this nightmare before and got through it, was able to sort of get things back on track, but it did deliver a massive blow to momentum that seemed to be building in the summer. And now Canada is finding itself once again in this very difficult spot. What I've been told previously by senior Canadian government sources is whatever we're hearing publicly, it's likely way worse behind the scenes. That is what has been this sort of pattern in the past when it comes to these kinds of big threats and these big blow-ups. The last time Donald Trump was this angry at Canada, it had to do with when Canada was about to impose its digital services tax. Canadians will remember he put a note out on Truth Social.
Getting rid of the digital sales tax was a digital services tax was fucking bullshit. Fucking bullshit. I want you to think about if you go out and drive, or even if you walk places, how many times do you see an Amazon truck? Because every single time I go out in my car, I see an Amazon truck, or multiple. Jeff Bezos has no store. He doesn't have a physical storefront anywhere in Canada, but all across Canada, he brings consumers their items. He uses our infrastructure. He uses every part of the country and rarely pays into it. So it's frustrating that all it took was one call to fucking Trump, and then from these types of people like Bezos and all them fuckers, and Trump was like, okay, I'm gonna threaten this, and it immediately got tabled. Immediately gone. No, we're not gonna do that. This was something that Trudeau announced in, like, I think it was the beginning of it was like over 5 years ago. Like this had been planned and set in motion since, I'm pretty sure, Trump's first term. And the fact that we are giving things up and they're not giving anything up and still taking things and still being fucking dramatic and fucking like having a hissy fit because one singular premier of 10 provinces and 3 territories put an ad on TV of Reagan saying words that he said verbatim. Like, it makes no fucking sense. He's just having a hissy fit because he's a fucking little toddler. Like,
seemingly without much heads up or warning, that he was again going to halt those trade talks because he was angry about that policy. What we saw at the time, Canada eventually decided to late night issue a statement on social media just before the actual tax was supposed to kick in, announced that Canada was not going to impose that tax. And it took some time for Canadian officials to sort of gear things up and get things moving again after some momentum had been building. Remember, the last few weeks, Canada had been trying to inch closer to the finish line to try and get some tariff relief. Mark Carney was just here in Washington in October. He and Canadian officials had said they've sort of instructed teams to get to sort of a landing zone to lower some tariffs. But now everything appears to be off.
Well, I mean, and so here comes the impossible question, right? What now? Where does this leave the negotiations?
if you're watching this and you're American, I want you to realize that all of our world leaders who have not imposed crazy counter tariffs or done something of the sort, and they're fighting against the tariffs that Trump has imposed, they're fighting for you. You are going to be the one who's going to pay that. When has the consumer ever not eaten the cost of something like this? Never. The consumer always eats the cost. So all of our leaders who are fighting against these tariffs are in reality fighting for you, the consumer, who is going to pay them. Yes, our economies and businesses, it matters, but at the same time, the first line of the way that Trump wants to shift manufacturing is by making things too expensive for people to do it outside of the country. And by making it too expensive, he means putting the cost on the consumers. It's a huge. It's a terrible gamble. They're operating on the idea that these companies are going to eat the tariffs. After the first couple quarters of not as great profit, they're going to move it on to the consumer, and you're starting to see that now because they stocked up in preparation for this, and they started to eat the cost at the beginning. But as soon as that cost starts to hit them, they're going to put it on you, and you're not getting a raise. So be grateful to our leaders.
Mark Carney is going to need to possibly get some FaceTime with Donald Trump at these major international summits that are coming up in the days ahead. There was no formal bilateral.
Every single fucking time that Mark Carney has talked to Trump, we've seen it, he always is he always plays it well. He doesn't say doesn't give in to anything, and he gains the respect of Trump, and then 5 fucking minutes later he gets stabbed in the back. So I'm like, dude, stop operating on these good faith agreements, because there's no good faith. There's no faith. I have no faith in Trump. He over an ad that the one premier, and that's not in the list of the Ford family mishaps. This is way down the list. I think there's a whole Netflix documentary about that now.
That plan between Canada and Donald Trump on the sidelines of these major summits, but they are expected to meet in passing. Canada is going to have to do something to appease U.S. President Donald Trump, to try and see if he'll change his mind going forward, and to see if perhaps he will consider reopening these trade talks. If he doesn't, Canada and the U.S. is headed toward a really difficult renegotiation of CUSMA.
So what they're talking about is a lot of world leaders are going to the APEC summit in I think it's in Busan, Korea, and Carney and Trump are both going. We do not know if Trump was for sure set in stone going, but he got in the plane, so he's on his way.
Yeah, winter's coming. All right, Katie Simpson in Washington tonight. Thanks, Katie.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Trade talks terminated. President Trump has announced that he is ending negotiations with Canada, all over an advertisement put out by Ontario's government. The ad uses the words from President Ronald Reagan in a 1987 address, there's video right there, where he criticizes tariffs. The Reagan Foundation, though, yesterday put out a statement saying that the ad misrepresents the late president's speech. What's not clear is how they believe that Reagan really was misrepresented. Here's part.
When someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports, it looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. But over the long run, such trade barriers hurt every American worker and consumer. High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs.
Canada has yet to respond to the president now cutting off trade talks. All of this comes against an important backdrop. Just hours.
Why does she have that dumbass coffee cup? It feels so placed. I saw her doing polls with, what's his name? Holy Toledo. Harry Enton. And she had it, she was just holding it. She didn't take one sip the whole time. I was like, I don't understand. Why is she holding that? Who gave her that? Why do you have a prop cup?
Before, really, President Trump is...
And why are you standing like that?
...set to head to Asia for what could be the most important trade talks of all. Not with Canada, but with the world's second largest economy, China. The president still, at least as right now, expected to sit down and talk trade with Chinese President Xi Jinping next week. CNN's Elena Trine is at the White House. But first, Elena, Canada What's happening?
Yeah, look, the president, Kate, is threatening once again to upend the crucial economic relationship between the United States.
Over social media, let's be clear. The president of the United States, a world leader, diplomat, terminated trade talks with a foreign nation, your closest ally, over social media.
States and its second biggest trading partner. Now, you said this, but overnight the president had said essentially that he is canceling trade talks with Canada over that ad that you played. And what's unclear is if the president had actually contacted or spoke with the Prime Minister, Mark Carney, or anyone in the Canadian government. I will say we've reached out to them. We're waiting to hear what the Canadians have in response to this message from the president. But essentially in this post on Truth Social, he said that he believes that the ad was fake, that the message was fake, that the Canadians government was playing with this ad. And he also argued that it was designed to interfere in the U.S. Supreme Court. Essentially, the Supreme Court is currently considering a legal challenge to many of the president's tariffs. I'm going to read for you some of this post. He said, quote,
Are you fucking dumb? Yes, he's fucking dumb. They only did this to interfere with the decision of the U.S. Supreme Court. Bitch, we did it because we don't want our economy to struggle in the meantime when we're moving between different trade partners. We would rather just work with you than fight with you. And at this point in time, a lot of Canadians are saying, we don't even want to work with you. We don't want to fight with you. We don't want to work with you. We don't want anything to do with you. And it's really our leadership that is still kind of towing the line because they know in the long, it is a good thing for us to be allies. We're better, stronger together. But what's the point? I seriously don't understand. I'm kind of at that point too, and I would much rather work with Xi or anybody. I don't like Modi, but India can figure their own leadership out. I don't like him for his domestic policy.
they only did this to interfere with the decision of the U.S. Supreme Court and other courts. Tariffs are very important to the national security and economy of the USA. Based on their egregious behavior, all trade negotiations with Canada are hereby terminated. Now, the ad, you mentioned some of this, Kate, but while the ad was edited, it did lack context. It is unclear what was misrepresented, because if you look at that speech, it was a radio address that Reagan...
Nothing was misrepresented. I hate CNN and their middle of the road fucking both sides bullshit. On one side, you have a Democratic Party that has a lot of flaws. The base is fed up with them, and this has led to Trump being elected twice. On the other hand, you have fascists, a dictator, Nazis, racists, and it's like, we can listen to both sides, hear both sides. What the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? Like, what? You're taking the argument from Nazis, fascists, dictators, like... Okay. You do you, girl. Like...
gave in 1987. He gave it from Camp David. It is very much a full-throated defense of fair and open trade. And what the timing of...
Full-throated? Who? Girl, you're on national television.
This as well. I think it's important to point out the context of this speech from Reagan. It was when he was placing higher tariffs on various Japanese products to try and stem the damage of imports of cheap Japanese semiconductors, the damage that was doing to the U.S. economy. But look, to take a step back and just re-examine the relationship between the United States and Canada, it had always been rocky. The president had previously threatened very high tariffs. He also, has...
Some of the highest tariffs in the world were placed on Canada, along with Syria and other authoritarian places. We had It was an insane amount. I mean, I think Brazil had because Bolsonaro, they had the highest, I think. At when he sent out all those motherfucking letters. And did he do that over social media too? Like, can we bring back professionalism, at least for like elected officials? Like some sort, like you have a letterhead and like you could like send it out. You can make a presidential address. You have like you have the press corps in front of you every day. You are always talking to the press. Like, it's so weird. It's so fucking. And you guys just accept it.
Has been kind of joking about having Canada become the 51st state. Talks were
Never going to fucking happen. This might be backwards, but Canada is not for sale, bitch. We're not going to fucking be that fucking. Look up how Canadians behave in war. Why Canadians go ballistic in war. Why the Nazis were afraid of Canada. Why blah 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 blah. Go look how we behave in military situations. You might think that we're polite pushovers, but we're not. You might think that because of the leadership that we've had, maybe, but the backbone of Canada is not. We're nice, but we don't put up with shit. We might be polite, but that doesn't mean that we're gonna take shit for no fucking reason. Have you ever watched a game of hockey? It's one of the most Canadian things that we have. I'm not a huge fan of watching it, or whatever. I grew up playing it, so. Have you ever watched a game? Any game of hockey. One of the only sports that they have fist fights in, and they're allowed to happen. That's Canada. We just don't take out our fucking guns and shoot each other up like you fucking motherfuckers do.
Were very bad when the former Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, was still in office. After he resigned and Carney came into office, it did appear like things were becoming warmer. Relationships between the United States and Canada were getting better. Unclear now, though, where this leaves that.
Unclear is definitely how we are starting this Friday. Elena, thank you so much. Much more to come from the White House this morning.
The president posted on Truth Social that he is canceling trade talks with Canada over an ad featuring a speech from President Reagan. Listen.
When someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports, it looks like they're...
I've had enough of this CNN bullshit. Okay, let's go to CTV News. Sorry. So, let's read the tweet that DJT sent out at the beginning of all this. The Ronald Reagan Foundation has just announced that Canada has fraudulently used an advertisement, which is fake, featuring Ronald Reagan speaking negatively about tariffs. The ad was for $75 million. That's true. They only did this to interfere with the decision of the U.S. Supreme Court and other... I've already addressed that. That's fucking ridiculously stupid. We don't care about your Supreme Court. We just don't want you to place tariffs on us. Like, we're just trying to speak to the people and say, like, tariffs are not good. And all of you Republicans who idolize Reagan, he said the same fucking thing. So fuck you, bitch. Tariffs are very important to the national security and economy of the USA. You have to believe me. Believe me. If I talk in all caps and yell at you, you must believe me. Like, fuck off. Tariffs are not very important at all. To the national security? What the fuck are you talking about? Security? Security? An economy of the USA. Based on their egregious behavior, all trade egregious. Have you ever seen a smear campaign ad? Do you know how easy it would be to do a smear campaign ad on Donald Trump, who does like an impeachable thing daily? who has said some of the most egregious things ever that a politician has ever said. Let's just watch the ad.
When someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports, it looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. But over the long run, such trade barriers hurt every American worker and consumer. High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. Throughout the world, there's a growing realization that the way to prosperity for all nations is rejecting protectionist legislation and promoting fair and free competition. America's jobs and growth are at stake.
Was that egregious to you? What, was that shocking and outlandish? Are you insulted by the words of your own president? So this is Doug Ford, Ford Nation. He is the Premier of Ontario. Mind you, this is one of 10 provinces in Canada. And 10 provinces might seem like a small amount compared to 50 states, but our country's bigger than yours. So it's just one tiny, it's like one section of our country. So like, and our population, we're a bigger country and our population is like tiny compared to yours. He represents a small portion of Canada, and even in that portion, a lot of people don't like him. So it's so incredibly stupid, and like, we're gonna end all talks because of Doug Ford. Really? So this is the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation and Institute. Who's running that shit? Like, motherfucker been, like, it's been so long. Like, just let it go. The Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation Institute learned that the government of Ontario, Canada, created an ad using selective audio and video of President Ronald Reagan delivering his radio address to the nation on free and fair trade, dated April 25th, 1987. The ad misrepresents the presidential radio address, and the government of Ontario did not seek nor receive permission to use and edit the remarks. I love how it's like the ad misrepresents the presidential radio address. It just does. Believe us. You have to trust us. And the government of Ontario did not seek. Okay, it's a radio address to the nation from a sitting president from Camp David. Motherfucker, that's public record. The Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation Institute is reviewing its legal options in this matter. We encourage you to watch. Are you fucking kidding me? Grow the fuck up. Who the fuck is running that shit? Canada cheated and got caught. Cheated at what? Cheated at what? You tried to steal an election. You literally incited an insurrection. You tried to cheat. You're trying to cheat right now by the gerrymandering that you're doing in Texas and in multiple other places. All you had to do was call up fucking Hot Wheels, be like, hey bitch, do this. And he said, I will do this. They fraudulently took a big buy ad saying that Ronald Reagan did not like terrorists when he actually loved terrorists for our country and its national security. Jesus Christ, dude. No, like, what the fuck? I don't think he... Canada's trying to illegally influence illegal. Using audio is not really like illegally influence the United States Supreme Court in one of the most important. Oh my God! Wait, illegally influence. So the Supreme Court is completely dictated by Ronald Reagan's beliefs. What? Like what? So if Ronald Reagan says it, we have to. Like what? He's just saying this so he can use us as a scapegoat to fucking, like, his tariffs are unconstitutional and illegal already. And once it gets to the Supreme Court, like, I don't understand how they're going to say, like, yeah, this was okay. This was legal. It's totally fine. It wasn't. It's not at all. You can go through any of the proper channels. America's not in a state of emergency, so he doesn't have the power to place these tariffs. He just said it was and started sending letters over social media. Canada has long cheated on tariffs. God, charging our farmers as much as 400%. Okay, I'm going to fucking scream. Okay. When tariffs are properly used, they can actually protect a market or an industry in a country that otherwise would be dwarfed by international partners and other nations. So the 400% tariff on dairy products, it's not just it's not like farmers all around. Like, it's just on milk products, I believe, is because Canada is trying to protect our farmers, so Americans cannot come in and flood the market and make it so our farmers go bankrupt. Milk is already, like, the dairy industry is already, like, shrinking and everything. So those tariffs were placed in order to protect our farmers. Also, our food and drug laws and all of that are way more strict than yours. We're a part of the Commonwealth, so we follow a lot of our medical system is modeled after that of Britain and Australia. We all kind of like share our knowledge, and our food laws are a lot more strict than yours. Your milk, a lot of it would not pass our standards. You would not be able. It would be illegal to sell in Canada. So that's just an added thing on top of that. Your meat doesn't pass our standards. Your milk doesn't pass our standards. Anything that has to do with that, it doesn't pass our standards because we put laws in place to protect people. You repeal them. Simple as that. Now they and other countries can't take advantage of the U.S. any longer. Thank you to the Ronald Reagan Foundation for exposing this fraud. Make America great again. So this is from Doug Ford. Our intention was always to initiate a conversation about the kind of economy that Americans want to build and the impact of tariffs on workers and businesses. We've achieved our goal, and having reached U.S. audiences at the highest levels, I've directed my team to keep putting our message in front of Americans over the weekend so that we can air our commercial during the first 2 World Series games. In speaking with PM Carney, Ontario will pause its U.S. advertising campaign effective Monday so that the trade talks can resume. The people elected our government to protect Ontario, our workers, our businesses, families, and communities. That's exactly what I'm doing. Like I said earlier today, Canada and the U.S. are neighbors, friends, and allies. We're so much stronger than when we work together. Let's work together to build fortress AMCAN, the fuck, and make our two countries stronger, more prosperous, and more secure. So, I want to juxtapose this. Like, let's talk about, like, our intention with the ad was to initiate a conversation, the impact of tariffs. We would achieve our goal. Our workers, business, families, and communities elected our government. That's exactly what I'm doing. Like I said earlier today, Canada and the U.S. are neighbors, friends, and allies. We're so much stronger when we work together. Let's work together to build our two countries stronger and more prosperous and more secure. Let's just juxtapose that with this Truth Social from the president. Canada has long cheated on tariffs, charging our farmers as much as 400% now, and the other countries can't take advantage of us, the U.S., any longer. Thank you for exposing this fraud. Canada cheated and got caught. They fraudulently took a big buy ad. So we cheated. We're cheaters. We're fraudsters. We've cheated on tariffs. We've taken advantage of you, and this is the guy who put it out. We're so much stronger when we work together. Let's work together to build Fortress AMCAN and make our two countries stronger and more prosperous and more secure. That is the difference between us and you.
It's fake, he says. Bruh.
This is Andrew Chang from CBC. I like what he has to say a lot of the time. It's very much just like, hear the facts, but like at the same time, it's better than like CNN and all that bullshit.
In all caps, which means he's serious, blames Canada for its fraudulent use of an advertisement, leaving him no choice but to announce all trade negotiations with Canada are hereby terminated. The offending advertisement, not actually from Canada, but from the Ontario government. But I'll play you the first 10 seconds.
When someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports, it looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs.
Now, you might already realize why this sounds fake, because that voice, seemingly addressing Trump's tariffs, that voice belongs to the 40th president of the United States, who died 2 decades ago.
America's jobs and growth are at stake.
Trump calls this use of Ronald Reagan fake. He's wrong. It's not fake. It's not AI. But it has been selectively edited. And in a way, the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation itself says misrepresents the speech Reagan actually gave 38 years ago. So what's going on here? And then what's really going on here? The nice thing about video is that you can generally see where the edits are. Like right now, if we hold this shot, you can be reasonably assured that we haven't manipulated what I'm saying right now. But when you see edit points like these punch-ins and zoom-outs, what's a little less obvious is that you're seeing us splice together 2 completely different takes. Like, I record everything I want to say on a wide shot first, then we cut, then I record the exact same thing for a second time on a medium shot, and voila. Editing makes it look like we just had 2 cameras running at the same time instead of 1 camera running twice. Someday we'll actually just get 2 cameras. But
I was gonna say, it can't be that much for a CBC, bitch. Like,
only talking about audio, it's basically impossible for the listener to know where the edits are. And that's why Trump says this ad is fake. Like I said before, it hasn't been manipulated in the sense that nobody's making Ronald Reagan say anything that he didn't actually say. He really did say about tariffs that over the long run.
But over the long run, such trade barriers hurt every American worker and consumer.
And I can prove this to you by showing you that same clip, but with video this time, direct from the Ronald Reagan Library.
Over the long run, such trade barriers hurt every American.
I'm sorry, I'm still just thinking about that fucking camera situation. Can't you just edit the video to pop in, like zoom in a little bit for that part? Like you seriously probably wouldn't even need 2 cameras. And even if you do, just get another camera, bitch. What the fuck? Sorry, but that's stupid.
American worker and consumer.
But there is something going on here with this Ontario government ad, which I can show you now by playing it in full, except at the same time, I'll show you the full transcript of Ronald Reagan's actual radio address in 1987, and you'll see how the ad is selectively choosing and even reorganizing Reagan's words.
When someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports, it looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. But over the long run, such trade barriers hurt every American worker and consumer. High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. Throughout the world, there's a growing realization that the way to prosperity for all nations is rejecting protectionist legislation and promoting fair and free competition. America's jobs and growth are at stake.
So what did you think? The Reagan Foundation says this misrepresents Reagan's speech in 1987. And when you see the side-by-side like that, we can guess why. But I've listened to Reagan's full address, and the core message of both the ad.
So TLDRs are fraud. Every Reddit poster out there who's ever done TLDR, you are a fraudster per Donald Trump.
And the address is the same. Tariffs bad, free trade good. What's different is the context in which these comments were made.
I just did that with that fucking news article, the CTV article. I literally jumped all over it. Oh, wow. Fraudster.
Reagan, obviously, in 1987, wasn't referring to Trump's tariffs. What he was actually referring to were the tariffs his own administration was applying on Japan, because Japan was flooding the US with cheap semiconductors, and tariffs were punishment. But he was clear.
In certain select cases, like the Japanese semiconductors, we've taken steps to stop unfair practices against American products. But we've still maintained our basic long-term commitment to free trade.
See, sometimes tariffs, when they are used properly, tariffs can be used to protect an economy and a market in a certain nation. When they are used just willy-nilly as a punishment for existing and not sucking up to authoritarian fascist regimes and just like shelling out billions and billions of dollars, that doesn't work.
And economic growth.
So overall, is this a fake ad? Not really, except that it is perhaps a kind of recontextualization. Like anytime Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech has been appropriated to frame some current struggle, but using his moral authority. But call that whatever you want, because what's maybe more relevant than the bickering over real versus fake is why Trump has reacted the way he has. One possible reason Trump has lashed out in this way over the use of Ronald Reagan's voice is that Trump himself has used Ronald Reagan's voice.
Make America great again.
I was saved by God to make America great again.
Drain the swamp of overtaxation, overregulation, and runaway inflation.
I didn't know the swamp was this dirty.
Overtaxation.
And this deep, drain the swamp.
I think it's safe to say Trump admires Ronald Reagan and would very plausibly be
He idolizes Ronald Reagan, and that's like the biggest portrait in the Oval Office right now.
offended if Reagan was used against him.
I mean, Ronald Reagan is such a revered figure in Republican circles. So many people that worked for Trump used to work for Reagan, and Trump has tried to paint himself as someone who is just like Reagan.
Around the start of Trump's second term, he hung an oil portrait of Reagan in the Oval Office, giving him a prominent spot near Trump's desk. In February, he wished Reagan a happy birthday, calling him a giant of American history, a lion of freedom and liberty. On the very first day Trump was sworn in, it was even widely reported that Trump was reinstalling the Reagan rug, the literal floor covering Reagan used during his administration.
And it's ugly as fucking sin, bitch. I mean, everything he's done to the Oval is ugly as fucking sin, but that rug, it's like a pale, ugly, peach color. Like, it's like, ooh.
Which Trump then used during his first term. Which Biden had removed, and then which Trump had put back in. And even the Resolute desk itself.
They give you a choice of about 7 different desks, but this is the one I chose. Ronald Reagan had it. FDR had it.
Ronald Reagan is a revered figure in the Republican Party. He's widely regarded as one of the great presidents of the 20th century. And Donald Trump has
all the economic hardship you face as Americans is because of that man. He is the start of a lot of the worst shit in America that is being perpetuated today. He is probably one of the worst presidents you've ever had. I don't understand this whole I don't understand how right wingers are fucking stupid assholes. Not to mention that he completely just fell face first in the face of the AIDS crisis in the 80s. He
repeatedly paid homage to him throughout his political career and tried to compare his presidency to Reagan's.
Trump believes, or at least says he believes, that, mirroring his own position, Ronald Reagan loved tariffs. But this is really wrong.
Reagan was not a big fan of tariffs. And I think that, the clip from his radio address in 1987 is typical of the attitude he had towards them throughout his presidency.
And he railed against tariffs, saying that they would be a huge threat to the global economy. They would be a repeat of the 1930s and the Great Depression. So when Trump says Reagan loves tariffs, there could be nothing further from the truth in many respects.
So I think it's fair to say there's something about a Canadian ad using Reagan's words that might sting for Trump, particularly. But get
the fuck over it, you tiny little bitch boy. What the fuck is wrong with you? What the fuck is wrong with you, you whiny little bitch? I fucking hate you. You are a toddler with a fucking bottle in your fucking mouth. Shut the fuck up. You got your feelings, and shut the fuck up. What are you, a toddler? What are you, 3? 3 years old? What are we talking about? Can you please grow the fuck up? What? I never want to hear anybody call a progressive person a snowflake ever the fuck again. Because what the fuck? Grow up.
Bigger picture, and maybe the much more simple one, is that this is just one more down in a long series of ups and downs that Trump has set in motion since day one.
You had his comments about making Canada the 51st state, calling Prime Minister Trudeau Governor Trudeau, creating these allegations of fentanyl trafficking that aren't borne out by reality. Just, on and on and on down the list, you find one thing after another that Trump is doing to hurt what had been a very good relationship between two neighboring countries.
So the way I take Trump's latest attack, blaming Canada for his own decision to terminate trade talks, which were only happening in the first place because of tariffs Trump himself imposed, which flew in the face of a free trade agreement Trump's own people negotiated. I don't know if I actually see this as dramatically as I've been seeing reported in all the major headlines today. I'm not so sure trade talks are being blown up here or anything like that. And Canada's Prime Minister certainly doesn't seem to either.
Trump always chickens out. Trump always chickens out. Taco tits.
And ready to pick up on that progress and build on that progress when the Americans are ready to have those discussions.
Because remember,
that's why.
Look, for months we have stressed the importance of distinguishing things we can control and things we can't control. We can't control the trade policy of the United States. We recognize that that policy has fundamentally changed from the policy in the
So something that we can control is just saying, okay, fine, we won't do trade with you. We won't do any more trade talks. Fuck you. You can pay the tariffs. Fuck you. Like, we'll go to China. I'm good with that. I'm good with China and Europe. Like, the European Union, and like, I'm good with our allies that are actually acting like allies. We've had a lot of talks with Sheinbaum as well. Like, I'm struggling to see the appeal of even, I get it, it would be inconvenient and we'd face some hardship for some time. But in the long run, I would rather have a reliable partner than whatever the fuck is happening in America. Because until they, like, completely overhaul their education system, it's just not worth it at this point. Or like Nuremberg, that shit. Like, I don't...
1980s, 1990s, 2000s. And it's a situation where the United States has tariffs against every one of their trading partners to different degrees. And it's in that context that our officials, my colleagues, have been working with their American colleagues on detailed, constructive negotiations, discussions on specific transactions, specific sectors, steel, aluminum, and energy. And a lot of progress has been made. And we stand ready to pick up on that progress and build on that progress.
I appreciate that he has not, like, backed down, but at the same time, choosing to stay in the fight is not the same as leaving it. Like I'm glad that he hasn't just, like, capitulated to this authoritarian fascist dictator in diapers, but I'm also kind of like, let's leave the table. We don't, it's not capitulate or get a good deal. It is, there's also another option. Fuck him. Like, I'm so tired of this. And he has to, like, watch his words so fucking much. He can't say fucking, like, anything that it's, like, even has, like, a modicum, like, because this overgrown toddler in diapers, incontinent amphetamine addict, he gets butthurt over the smallest fucking things. Even an ad showing the truth of what his idol said. Like, the tiniest bit of criticism, and this motherfucker ends trade talks. What the fuck is the point? And why are we dancing, like, we're, like, dancing around the fucking point here. Like, who fucking cares? Like,
when the Americans are ready to have those discussions, because it will be for the benefit of workers in the United States, workers in Canada, and families in both of our countries. Now, what we can control, absolutely, is how we build here at home. And that's the focus of Budget 2025, generational investment here in Canada. And what we can also control, or at least heavily influence, is developing new partnerships and opportunities, including with the economic giants of Asia, which is the focus of this trip.
Announced overnight, just in the last few hours, he is ending all trade talks with Canada effective immediately over a Canadian television ad opposing U.S. tariffs. In a social media post, Trump wrote, quote, "The Ronald Reagan Foundation has just announced Canada has fraudulently used an advertisement, which is fake, featuring Ronald Reagan speaking negatively about tariffs." The television ad from the province of Ontario features audio from a 1987 Ronald Reagan speech that does criticize tariffs. We should note the audio is not fake, as the president claimed, but it was edited and rearranged. Here's a portion of that ad this morning.
High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. Throughout the
whole thing.
That ad aired during an American League Championship Series game between the Toronto Blue Jays and Seattle Mariners, which pulled in more than 9 million viewers when it was broadcast. Former President Reagan's foundation says it is reviewing legal options, accusing the Ontario provincial government of using...
I don't like the Blue Jays. I'm just saying in terms of what's available.
Selective audio and video, saying the ad misrepresents Reagan's address and that Ontario's government did not seek nor receive permission to use and edit the remarks. The office of Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney did not immediately respond to requests for comment, but a spokesperson for Ontario Premier Doug Ford denied any wrongdoing in the ad campaign, telling CBC News, quote, "The commercial uses an unedited excerpt from one of President Reagan's public addresses, which is available through public domain." So because of that ad, Joe, overnight, President of the United States saying we're not talking to Canada, our neighbor to the north, anymore. He's very upset about that. Those are Reagan's words. Yes, edited. Things do get edited. We can go back to Reagan's comments about immigration. There are a lot of things we can call back.
In terms of like copyright and that type of stuff, they're alleging that it's edited, it's misrepresents, and it's infringement of copyright or like intellectual property of whatever they're going to try and spin this as. Those two things cannot be true. Because like in terms of fair use, if you edit something so much that it's your own thing, that's fair. It falls under fair use. So, in order for it to be like infringement of rights, it has to be accurate, doesn't it? And like misrepresentation is not a crime of the state. Like I don't know, because it's not like that he was selling anything. It's not like fraud.
Back to the man who was the touchstone for generations for conservatism.
Well, you know, yesterday we had a wide-ranging discussion about dorks and nerds, and I'm enough of a dork and a nerd that around 3:30 this morning, I listened to the entire address. And it was an April 25th, 1987 radio address. It's on YouTube. And I have absolutely no idea what the Reagan Foundation is talking about, because those words in that Canadian ad were directly from that April 25th, 1987 address that is up on YouTube.
Right, and it's not like they say it's edited and rearranged, but it's not like they took one word from each like sentence and made their own sentence. He spoke in a sentence, they took that sentence and just made a TLDR.
And the bizarre thing is that in their statement, they directed dorks and nerds like me to YouTube to see that the Canadian ad reflected Reagan's feelings about tariffs 100%.
That feels like they're sucking up to the fascist, but they're like, but also, they're kind of right. But it doesn't matter because you just sucked up to the fucking fascist. You're a bitch ass motherfucker.
And here is a direct, unedited clip from that address that sounds just like the Canadian ad. Roll it, TJ.
So soon, because of the prices made artificially high by tariffs that subsidize inefficiency and poor management, people stop buying. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions...
God, I hate him. I just have such a visceral hate for that man. Like, ugh. Puke.
Millions of people lose their jobs. The memory of all this occurring back in the 30s made me determined when I came to Washington
to spare the American people the protectionist legislation that
How old was he? Also, like, ask better from your politicians. Why do you have geriatric politicians in America? I thought Mitch McConnell died. Well, I'm pretty sure he is dead, and they're just like pumping him full of sawdust and motor oil and hoping for the best.
destroys prosperity.
It's all there. Willie, it's all there. Everything Ronald Reagan said, all the clips that were in that Canadian ad, that Ottawa ad, were all there in the address. It's really a very bizarre turn of events. Yesterday, Donald Trump said, well, I would have done the same thing if I were them. I understand why they did it. Then I don't know if somebody called the Reagan Foundation and said, hey, we need you to attack this ad. But they're attacking not only Reagan's words, but the foundation of Reagan's views on tariffs. He believes short-term tariffs were fine, but long...
That's a really good point. Because if you are, your entire job and like the ethos of your entire foundation is based on like preserving this man and his legacy, why the fuck would you not agree with his own words and get mad at people for displaying his own sentiment? Like, what the fuck? You're just bastardizing, like, what? It's completely antithetical to your entire cause.
Long-term tariffs, as he just said, wrecked the economy and would cost millions of people their jobs.
Yeah, it's strange. It's one thing for President Trump. We've come to expect that to misrepresent things, but
it's a shame that he couldn't predict Doge as well.
For the Reagan Foundation itself to come out kind of in support of that argument is odd, as you say. And Jonathan Lemire, this just dropped overnight. President of the United States in a Truth Social post saying, yeah, we're done talking to Canada because my feelings were hurt about this ad, which, as Joe just laid out and we played, you could hear it, you could see it, you can go on YouTube yourself if you don't believe and watch. It's what former President Reagan said.
It's what former President Reagan said, and our current president is so easily triggered that a TV commercial can change international policy, trade policy, foreign policy.
A TV commercial that just quoted an old president, not even just criticizing some policies that Trump has put in place. Not even like, if it was me, I'd have wall-to-wall coverage of every deplorable fucking fascist fucking thing that motherfucker has ever fucking said. And he Doug Ford chose to just do this, like quote Donald Trump's idol, and he threw such a hissy fit that he terminated trade talks with an entire nation of people, your closest fucking ally.
I mean, it's sort of an extraordinary encapsulation of where things are right now for this administration. And there's a lot of focus on tariffs and trade right now. The president later today heads to Asia. He'll meet with Xi Jinping while in Korea on the sidelines of a summit there, the Chinese trade deal. And that's been pretty tense at times. They hope to work on that. Obviously, we're waiting on the Supreme Court to make a decision whether all of these tariffs are legal in the first place. But Mika,
right.
This is the president of the United States.
They are not. Like, they are not. Just say they're not. They're not legal. We all know it. It's unconstitutional to do this. The only way to do a tariff, like put tariffs into effect, is through Congress. He did not do that. So it is illegal. You cannot just say it's a state of emergency when there's no emergency. And do whatever the fuck you want. Like, that's just not how that's not how democracies work, at least. And you guys are like, down there in America, your democracy is like burning to the ground right now. So like, we'll see how it goes. But I mean, the fucking Supreme Court is full of those fucking bitch ass the fucking Amy Coney Barrett's fucking dumbass motherfucking ass. Clarence Thomas, a fucking disgrace. A disgrace. He is a disgrace to the entire legal system, every single other judge in America, and every single black person in America, because that person is a white supremacist, misogynistic asshole, and he is dark skinned. I've even heard that he wasn't opposed to repealing the Interracial Marriage Act. Mind you, he's married to a white woman.
Throwing a fit over an ad, and we should note the timing of this is pretty remarkable.
Sorry, but that's how you know that white supremacy has always been so fucking insidious. Because look at people like Clarence Thomas, Candace Owens. They are racist, misogynistic, homophobic, all these things. And it's because of white supremacy. White supremacy is at the top, and then right below it, like this with them, are misogyny and like the patriarchy and homophobia and all of these things. Like everything is an offshoot of white supremacy, because almost all of those things tells you that you are better than someone else because of this stupid, like irrelevant thing that doesn't matter, like skin tone or like who I choose to fuck. It doesn't matter. As long as you're not hurting anybody, it shouldn't fucking matter. Like,
remarkable, because what else he gets angry about this today. What's tonight? Tonight is game 1 of the World Series. Where is that game being played? Toronto, Canada.
Oh boy.
So there's going to be let's watch the American national anthem likely get booed tonight, like it was during that hockey tournament earlier in the spring. But this is going to set at the exact moment where we should be
fabulous. Same.
Celebrating our friendship with Canada. This happens.
Okay. And secondly, Joe needs to get some sleep. Like, seriously, what are you doing? We're talking about Trump tweeting in the middle of the night or whatever. He's up at 3:30 looking at Reagan speeches. It's not good for you.
It's very compelling. I mean, who among us
needs sleep?
Is not awakened in the middle of the night and said, let me listen to a Ronald Reagan radio address from 1987. I think we've all. I start talking like Pablo Torre. I don't want to sound like that.
Well, I know.
God.
That's an issue. We'll get to that later. It's a big issue. I hope he's okay. I don't know.
He's not.
So we'll have him later. Katty Kay, this unpredictability.
You know, he's a Luddite. You know that? You know, Pablo is a Luddite, Mika. I mean,
when people are not ready for the cameras, which of them, it always throws me so off guard, because they're always sitting there like, hi, go again, please. Just not ready.
He doesn't like our Jonathan Lemire and our supercomputer. He doesn't like AI. I think he's probably scared of light bulbs in his own house. He probably turns around and sees one and goes, ah!
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, they
Very
put
strange guy.
shades over them for Pablo. It's all right. It's okay. Everyone's different.
Right now,
okay, so
not for
Katty
something
Kay,
completely different.
This unpredictability, though, that's part of what we've seen from this president. At the same time, as he's making waves and making big changes in some regions of the world for the positive, I'm looking at the Middle East and is trying to figure out how to manage Ukraine. This unpredictability, I don't think necessarily is great.
What the fuck did she just say? It was bullshit. Whatever it was.
What we've seen from this president, at the same time as he's making waves and making big changes in some regions of the world for the positive. I'm looking at the Middle East and
what's going on in the Middle East? What part of the Middle East? He bombed Yemen, bombed Lebanon, he bombed Somalia, he bombed Iran, he bombed and Israel has broken the peace treaty or whatever, the ceasefire over 50 times at this point. They're just not abiding by it. They're not, and the Knesset was talking about, or was it called Knesset? What the fuck do they call it in Israel? It might be that. I don't know. They were talking about how, well, now that we have our hostages back, we can go in and develop Gaza. We can go and bulldoze Gaza. They already bulldozed it, but like with bombs. But they're going into the annexation of Gaza is going to continue. And it's, what's going on in the Middle East? Did he bomb Lebanon? I think he did. Or maybe it was. It's getting really hard to distinguish between like Israel, Russia, America. Like, anyways.
Is trying to figure out how to manage Ukraine. This unpredictability, I don't think necessarily is great for effective foreign policy.
Well, I mean, a part of the problem is that all of the things that Michael was saying that Europe is trying to do are great. And actually, I've said for years that Europe needs to boost its own defense. We can't keep calling 911 America every time there's a problem. The problem is that Donald Trump is asking those things at the same time that he's putting tariffs on these countries and making it incredibly difficult for their governments to enact the kind of reforms, do the kind of spending on defense that they need to do whilst they're fighting a tariff war. We had Mark Carney just this week, before that ad came out, saying, this is what he said: many of our former strengths based on our close ties to America have become our vulnerabilities. And the new Canadian doctrine going forward is going to be how much can we America-proof Canada. So the problem with the tariffs is that they cost him a lot of money. Mark Carney has to shore up the industries that he has to shore up because they're being tariffed by the United States. His fiscal situation is harder. It's exactly the same in Europe. The Germans are trying to do what they can to boost defense spending, but at the same time, they're having to face a tariff war from the United States. It makes it very difficult for these countries to do what they need to do, but the message is the same. Michael's message, Mark Carney's message: America-proof your future. I don't think that is the strongest position for America to be putting itself in going forwards.
No, the fuck it's not, bitch. The fuck.